The immigrants that are being targeted by ICE have no criminal record. And of those who do, the majority of them are nonviolent offenses. I mean, of course these are like, but there's 60% have no criminal record. ICE arrests are up almost double from January to June of last year, January to June of this year, almost double. They've averaged 1,000 a day since May 20th, 94,000 arrests, 94,000. Most of them in Texas, Florida, and California. And yet, a majority of the undocumented immigrants ICE has arrested during the Trump administration did not have a criminal conviction. About 40% did have a conviction, while another 32 had pending charges. Details on those charges were not available, but over 60% of the undocumented immigrants removed from the country did not have a criminal conviction. Nearly 40% did have a criminal conviction. Here's my question. What about all the criminals with papers? Does anyone? Now, I don't know about you, but when I am the victim of a crime, knowing that they were undocumented, it really does make it worse, right? Where you're like, no, if only my car had been stolen by a citizen, it would be okay. Like, if only I was assaulted by a U.S. citizen, hashtag MAGA. No, man. In fact, we know that undocumented people commit crimes at a far lesser rate than U.S. citizens. And once again, I think we are seeing the absurdity. I feel like these issues are all very connected. And the same framework that Democrats and Republicans, of course, have used to approach things like immigration is the same framework that they often approach things like abortion, right? Which is, well, it should be rare and unnecessary. And yes, there is such a thing as too late stage to have an abortion. And it's going to be up to the federal government to decide what is a right abortion and what is a wrong abortion. And then when you realize that most abortions that happen in later terms happen because of the health of the mother and because of medical necessity and or are straight up miscarriages, then you realize that all of these ridiculous laws that are being forced and put upon a procedure that really is healthcare are silly and unnecessary. And same with immigration. Once you realize that the difference between a taco seller who is documented and undocumented, both, one is 30, one's been in the country for 30 years, it doesn't matter because no one is illegal. Okay. And these people have families and contribute to their communities and pay taxes. And the more we parse who is documented, who has papers, who is a criminal, who is not, man, go after all crime. How about that? And leave all workers the fuck alone. Does that sound chill? And it's just amazing, right? Because now Trump is saying like, well, maybe we'll have some stipulations for farm workers and there'll be special programs for farm workers or temporary workers. And you're like, oh, you mean like guest visas, worker visas? You mean things like we've had for decades in this country that we've let languish and lapse because your ass and your entire party plus Democrats have all gotten on board with no, let's demonize immigrants. It's the fastest way to get elected. Come on now. They're innocent. They're innocent. They're innocent. They're innocent. And this, again, is the kind of extremism that we are hearing from the top echelons of ICE, invoking Los Angeles, invoking all the key words that will get your uncle at Thanksgiving going.
If sanctuary cities would change their policy.
Sorry, this is Todd Lyons. And boy, is he lying. This is Todd Lyons, new director of ICE, the guy who said Antifa the other day.
If sanctuary cities would change their policies and turn these violent criminal aliens over to us into our custody, instead of releasing them into the public, we would not have to go out to the communities and do this. Boston's my hometown, and it really shocks me that officials all over Massachusetts would rather release sex offenders, fentanyl dealers, drug dealers, human traffickers, and child rapists back into the neighborhoods.
It's bullshit. I mean, again, this should insult any police officer working in Los Angeles or any city. The idea that they are releasing criminals, rapists, drug dealers, that they're just being unleashed onto the public. No, man, that's not what is happening. But again, this is the kind of lie that they keep on having to put out there. And yet we know Stephen Miller gave up the game a long time ago. It doesn't matter. If you're here without papers, you are a criminal by definition, according to MAGA. So that means we have a choice to make. We have a choice to make to either say, yeah, they're right, there are criminals and those people are illegal, or no, nobody is illegal. No one is illegal. Let's fix our immigration system. Let's make it easier for people to come and go. Let's make it easier for people to work. Let's make sure that there are actual, if we care about employing people who aren't documented, let's actually go after the employers. I think the labor movement has a massive role to play in this that will be unfolding. And honestly, I would love to hear the Sean Fain and Sean O'Brien and other labor leaders really step up in this moment to talk about how much of an assault on working people ICE is carrying out, and how much the more we push people to the shadows. I mean, I swear to God, if you're an immigrant who cannot just put yourself in their shoes, just put yourself for one fucking moment, live outside your own reality and put yourself in an immigrant's shoes, and you're no longer allowed to sell ice cream in a park because you're afraid that ICE is going to be there, but you don't want to be deported and you've got a family. You'll probably, again, go to something that requires being in the shadows. What I'm trying to say is, and they know this, they know that by virtue of going after people who are law-abiding and aren't doing shit wrong, they inherently and inevitably push people to the shadows to do illicit work, whatever that work might be. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.